Access to education, especially at the basic level, is said to be the responsibility of all. But when that aspect of national growth is being threatened, it leaves dreams thwarted. In the wake of persistent attacks on schools by bandits and kidnappers, which have continued to affect the advancement of education, there is a growing concern on how to make the school environment safe and conducive for teaching and learning. No doubt, the rising insecurity across high-risk schools in the country has opened up schools to attacks, and incidences of kidnapping of students have continued to raise questions on the safety of students and teachers. As part of efforts to ensure safety of schools, the federal government launched the Safe School Initiative, a collaborative effort of Nigeria, the United Nations, and global education advocates, which seeks to create a safe environment where students can learn and grow without fear, with special security provisions for schools in high-risk areas. But since its inception in 2019, what is the level of implementation of the Safe School Initiative? How is insecurity and other forms of crises or disasters escalating and becoming a major setback to educational pursuit? What is the way forward towards implementing a safe school environment? Our focus on Weekend File tonight will be looking at assessing the implementation and impact of Safe School Initiative, and we'll bring you reports by correspondents from across the Federation on measures taken by the government at all levels to save education from attack. Our guest is the Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Weekend File. I'm Ruth Aguilera. First, we begin with the news. Vice President Kashim Shettima has acknowledged the commitment to professionalism and excellence in the Alumni Association of National Institute. The Vice President acknowledged the association when he received the members at the State House, led by the National President, Ambassador Emmanuel Obi Okafor. He assured prompt action on the issues discussed, underscoring Nigeria's significance on the African continent and the importance of collective efforts for national progress. The Vice President also lauded President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's leadership and pledged to enhance the standard of NIPS Kuru while addressing resource challenges. National President of the Association, Ambassador Emmanuel Obi Okafor, commended the Vice President's transformational leadership style and outlined ANI's role as an advocacy platform for policy recommendations and national unity. He also said the ongoing collaboration with the Ministry of Defense to enhance security awareness across the country's geopolitical zones is yielding result. He also appealed for the Vice President's support in maintaining the Institute's excellence through increased resources and proposed the establishment of a liaison desk at the Vice President's office to facilitate communication. Two other issues, Sultan of Sokoto and President General, Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, has commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for ordering the reopening of the Nigeria-Niger Republic borders that were closed down as part of economic sanctions imposed on the country by the regional bloc, that is ECOWAS. He said this when he received the Area Comptroller General, Nigeria Customs Service, Sokoto Zamfara Area Command, Kamal Mohammed. Well, let's hear from Bashir Ibrahim Nababa.
The opening of Nigeria's land and air borders with Niger Republic and the lifting of other sanctions against the country by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, seen by many well-meaning Nigerians as a welcome development. Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, is among notable Nigerians that threw weight behind the decision. The Sultan called on Nigeria Customs Service to ensure a return of normalcy at the nation's borders for commercial activities to thrive. The newly deployed Area Comptroller, Nigeria Customs Service, Sokoto Zamfara Area Command, Kamal Mohammed, stated that he was at the palace to pay homage and solicit advice of the royal father. Also at the Sultan's palace was newly deployed Controller Correctional Services, Sokoto State Command Salihu Abdullahi, who seeks for the Sultan's usual support to enable the service discharge its mandate.
We've been here and For the past, he said he has been on seat for over 80 years, and he has not had anything negative from the correctional service. And I pray I will build on it.
Sultan urged him to do more towards decongestion of the correctional facility, reviewing the records to know those who could be freed in accordance with provisions of the law. In Sokoto, Bashir Ibrahim Nawaba, NTA News.
Following the recent fire incident at the Dang Awundi transmission substation, Kano, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has inaugurated additional 100 MVA power transformer to boost capacity of the substation by 80 megawatts. A statement by TCN says the new transformer will provide a vital increase in power supply capability. Previously, the substation operated 3 units of 60 MVA capacity transformers, but the recent fire incident damaged one of the transformers with partial effects on another, thereby reducing the capacity of the substation. TCN notes that amidst challenges in gas supply for power generation, leading to low generation output, load allocation to the Dang Agundi transmission substation stands at 30 megawatts. TCN extends its gratitude to all electricity consumers affected by the incident for their patience and support, confirming that full supply has been restored. The Defense Headquarters, we hear, is investigating the killing of soldiers and officers on peace mission at Okuoma in Delta State. In a statement, the Acting Director, Defense Information, Brigadier General Tukur Gusau, says the incident took place on 14th of March 2024, when the troops of 181 Amphibious Battalion, Bumadi local government area of Delta State, while on peace mission to Okuoma community, were ambushed by some community youths and killed. The incident occurred when the troops responded to a distress call after the communal crisis between the Okuama and Okoloba communities in the state. The reinforcement team, led by the commanding officer of the battalion, was also attacked, leading to the death of the commanding officer, 2 majors, 1 captain, and 12 soldiers. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has directed immediate investigation and arrest of those involved in the crime. A look at other issues. Rotary International is carrying out a community outreach program targeted at reducing maternal and neonatal mortality in Nigeria. Well, it seeks to specifically enlighten families in 6 states of the Federation. President, Rotary International, Gordon McNally, who was in Kochongoro here in Abuja for the program tagged Together for Healthy Families, says the organization has committed $2 million to execute the project. Ekene Ndulwe will tell us about that.
Visiting Kochingoro presents a whole new cultural experience for the president of Rotary International. But the visit is more than a cultural exchange. Rotary International is concerned about the health challenges in the local community and has come to dialogue with residents and address the issues. Their target is to reduce maternal and neonatal mortality by 25%.
And it's a 3-year project at present, a pilot project that is bearing good results already and will prove itself, and then hopefully will qualify for further funding from many different sources. We are encouraging partners to recognise the success of this project and come on board with us, because we can't do this alone.
We have eclampsia, which is like high blood pressure for women. We have sepsis, which is infection, and all these are preventable.
The community dialogue program is going on in 500 primary health centers with outreach visits to many homes.
What we have learned today, we are going to add more our strength and power to see that we eliminate the death during maternity.
Rotary International maintains it is still working hard with partners towards eradicating polio all over the world. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
The current phase of socio-economic and security challenges faced by Nigerians may seem tough, but are surmountable with prayers and devotion to the will of Allah. These were the position of Islamic scholars at the annual Ramadan lecture organized by the Ansaruddin Abuja chapter. Abubakar Akwanga reports.
Ansaruddin is one of the oldest Islamic organizations famous for the propagation of Islam and fostering of brotherhood amongst religious adherents. Beyond this familiar mandate, the organization also seeks to find divine solutions to some national challenges through its annual Ramadan lecture. Now, the 29th annual lecture centered on seeking Allah's protection over security challenges in Nigeria, weaponized prayers against kidnapping, corruption, and poverty.
And there is no better way of tackling insecurity that is beyond prayers.
If everybody has a little thing to hold, there will be security, isn't it? But this is a time to think about our brother. But it has been like this for long. In Islam,
all of us have to work as a team so that we can support the government, so that we can be able to come out of these challenges.
The best time to give charity is during Ramadan.
Messages and prayers for political stability, social harmony, and economic prosperity of Nigeria were delivered by revered scholars and eminent Nigerians. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
How do we make our schools safe? Well, that will be the focus of our conversation as we assess the implementation and impact of Safe School initiative. And we have the Minister of State for Education in the house. Welcome back, and this is the part we begin our conversation. But before we do that, let's bring you some reports. Since the incidents and abduction of school children 10 years ago, Nigeria has witnessed the abduction of more than 1,000 school children, and government at all levels are mapping out strategies to put an end to the ugly trend. Olainka Ojo in this report examines government's efforts through the Safe School initiative in addressing issues of kidnapping of school children.
Faced with the threat of kidnapping of pupils and students, leading to low enrollment in schools, Nigeria became a signatory to the International Safe School Declaration. The Safe School initiative is designed to promote effective programs and policies that will protect schools from attack, as well as prevent corruption and promote accountability. The implementation of the Safe School program started in 2014 after the adoption of more than 200 girls at Government Secondary School Chibok in Borno State.
right now, the over 20 million out of school children, which Mr. President prioritized in the 8-point agenda to get them back to school, the attack on school is a major setback.
In 2022, a national plan for school financing was formally launched, with an action plan to spend 144.8 billion naira in 4 years. But of this amount, only 15 billion naira was released early 2023. And since the protection of schools, students, teachers, and educational facilities has become urgent, the Nigerian Police Force embarked on training of its personnel on schools protection.
This squad will operate in support of the schools protection squad to ensure our educational facilities remain free from danger and unwelcome incidents.
Another interesting aspect is the establishment of the National Safe School Center to help improve intelligence gathering and response.
We have been able to set up the center, command and control center. We have been able to also bring agencies together so that they can be responding when things happen. We have been able to develop an SOP that will guide our operations. Then we have been able to train so many people, particularly through the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, state desk officers for response coordination.
For other key players, public awareness is pivotal to the initiative,
including local vigilantes, hunters groups, retired security personnel, Traditional and religious leaders would also be integrated into the security architecture, precisely in the area of intelligence gathering, aimed at providing support in securing schools and peoples.
With all these measures in place, it is expected that government and relevant stakeholders will intensify efforts to secure the school environment to enable pupils, students and teachers study under a conducive environment without fear of being attacked. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
I'm sure you recall the Kaduna State incident. Well, days after the abduction of school students at Kuriga village, security agencies are intensifying efforts to rescue the victims unharmed, as the state government and relevant stakeholders keep putting heads together to ensure schools are adequately protected. Let's hear from Mohammed Umar Ajingi.
Kaduna State had experienced series of incidences of school kidnappings. The students of Kuriga village are the latest victims, who the security agencies are still searching for their whereabouts. Few days ago, in this school, scores of students were taken away by the bandits during their morning assembly. The students of Greenfield University, as well as School of Forestry and Mechanization in Mondo, were once victims. But the state government, in collaboration with the federal government and security agencies, are working tirelessly to stop the incessant abduction of the students.
He rest assured that the president is equal to the task. The very essence of the existence of government is to secure the lives and properties of the citizenry. He has tasked the entire security architecture in the country to go all out and get back our kids safely.
We thought we have seen the end of this kidnapping in Kaduna State, only for it to rear back in a very devastating manner. And we are also very ready to partner with you in coming up with security solutions.
The most important responsibility of any government is the protection of the lives and properties of the citizens of our own country. And I believe National Assembly should lead. I want to urge the House of Reps to revisit the issue of state police.
We will adopt all strategies, including non-kinetic approaches, to ensure that these children are rescued.
As the security agencies intensify surveillance to rescue the missing children, the hope and prayers of the parents is for the government to put in place all the necessary measures to ensure their children continue pursuing their education without any fear for them to fulfill their dreams. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Marajigi, NTA News.
All right, quite an unfortunate incident. You can only imagine the trauma parents and those abducted are going through. But we'll begin the conversation on assessing the implementation and impact of Safe School Initiative. And the Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununo, is already seated. Thank you so much for joining us, Honorable Minister.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, let's talk about the Safe School Initiative. Before that happened, talking about the implementation, it went through, rigorous engagement with the, relevant stakeholders. And the ministry is part of the committee, set up to implement this. How overwhelming would you say this whole scenario of kidnapping, abduction has been for the ministry, especially as this is a drawback to educational advancement?
Well, thank you very much. How overwhelming the kidnapper is. First of all, you must know that, as stated earlier by the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, one of the purpose of existence of government is to ensure safety of life and properties. And you must know that the President is a father. He is also the leader of the country. And once such thing happen, really, nobody will want, as a father, to have children in a kidnapped den, and definitely it's really overwhelming, and it calls for an urgent attention. And that desired attention was also given. It follows, you can see, the first was directed by Mr. President to the security agencies to ensure that those children are returned back to their family and united to the family in the shortest possible time. And I believe that the security agencies, we had several discussions with them, and they are working in earnest to ensure that the students are released back to their children. And you can also hear the commitment from the Inspector General of Police that both kinetic and non-kinetic approaches will be done to ensure that the children are released. And on our own part as a Ministry of Education, that we are saddled with responsibility of policy, development, implementation, and supervision. We are also worried. I was also physically present to commiserate with the parents of the kidnapped children and also the good people of and government of Kaduna State. And we are all working to ensure that those children are returned back to the school. And the major issue is, following our also comment, we had a meeting with the security agencies that are responsible for the National Safe School Response Coordination Center to find out what are really the current situation. Are we really getting information? And then are we synthesizing and utilizing the information for a rapid response in order to protect attack or about the attack, or even response in earnest to ensure that we get those kidnapped children out of this kidnappers' den? And also, how do we ensure those who are displaced continue to pursue their educational career without much threat? And my business has really shown that there are a lot to be done. In terms of the center, the National Safe School Response Coordinating Center is supposed to be a national coordinating center that will gather information from the periphery. But during my visit, what I really came to understand is that the input coming to center is not that good enough to ensure that we have such information. Because as of today, only 4 states in the country have their own centers developed, which is connected to the National Coordinating Center. Okay. And then the other issue, source of information, not only from the state centers, we should also have schools that can relate directly to the center. But unfortunately, very few states, schools, both public, private, and even that are connected to the center. It's on this regard that we have to also come with a statement. Not only a statement, we circularize it that all states, whether schools, whether public or private, okay, should get coordinated, connected as soon as possible to the center. This we have circularized it for the private school. Very soon they will get all the necessary information to get them logged to the center. And also we have circularized it to all the state government so that we can. We also pleaded with state government, and I'm repeating that plea to please as much as possible fast track the formation of their own safe school response center so that they can be connected to national. Doing that will give us a triple advantage. First of all, we can have a primary source from the school. We get information directly. We can also get secondary information from the state center if organized. Okay. This will assist us in having a coordinated approach.
Well explained there, Honorable Minister, particularly, and we've seen the active and proactive measures, put in place by the security operatives who are in charge of these safe school centers you mentioned. But let's look at the committee and the implementation. From the report we saw, 144 billion naira was earmarked. It's a 4 years plan, and just for last year, 2023, we had the report saying that 15 billion has only been spent. So funding is not a challenge. And if the security operatives are doing their own part on one hand, what have you gathered, from your findings in terms of monitoring, evaluation? Why is there still this persistent attacks on school if the measures are already put in place to some certain extent? Where is the drawback coming from?
Well, I earlier mentioned that there is a gap in terms of coordination. Okay. In terms of flow of information to the center, because a lot of schools are not connected, so that we get the primary source of information is not getting to the center. So also the secondary that we expect from state centers are also very few that are connected to the center. That's one of the major issues. One of the issues. Then the second issue is about what we're also addressing now, deployment of technology. while we agree that the center is also technology compliant, but there are also information that should be getting in terms of surveillance that can come to the center because they have already mapped the country. They also have the vulnerable and security-prone areas that can be given special attention. It's the issue here is we have to see how we can fast-track deployment of technology in terms of using drone and many other activities that could give us sharper monitoring and this. We also have to know that the other major issue is that what we are dealing with, though I'm not a security personnel, but it is certain that all of us, that it's not a conventional war, that we are using something new. It's some of the new challenges in terms of security challenges we have in the country. And then it also becomes very, very difficult in terms of the operational plan. Okay. These are people that they hardly use the conventional transportation medium that we have. They are also more informed about the terrain they are operating than even our security agencies. So these are the issues. So for us to beat them, we have to deploy technology that will give us a very good surveillance and can be used in tracking and even in terms of attacking. And I believe that the security agency are doing their own best in that regard. And it's not something that we have to come out in public to say, this is what the security agents are doing. Because as I mentioned earlier, once that info in one of the fora, once the information becomes public property, it means that those miscreants can also develop an antidote to circumvent the information that the securities are getting. We also have another major issue, the community participation and contribution in terms of giving credible information. A lot are serving as informant to those miscreants and preempting the security movement to the miscreant group. And this is also another major challenge.
I know there are a lot of challenges, Honorable Minister, and we'll pick up with this conversation just after this break. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. The conversation is still on assessing the implementation and impact of Safe School Initiative. We'll pick a report now. The spate of attacks and kidnapping of students across the country has prompted the governments of Edo, Delta, Ekiti and Ondo states to take more proactive and collaborative steps to safeguard the lives of students and teachers in the states. Jude Abugu brings us a report on the impact of the various security measures put in place by these states to ensure that children and teachers are safe in schools.
The recurring abduction of students and insensate attacks on schools across the country has made it imperative for all tiers of government, security agencies, and citizens to work together to ensure that schools in the country are safe and conducive for learning. In line with this, Ekiti State, which recorded the kidnapping of 6 pupils, 3 teachers, and a driver in January this year, has stepped up its complementary role in keeping schools safe. The coordinator of safe schools in the state, Razak Malomo, explained that security agencies are working with school administrators and community leaders to secure schools in the state.
We have a program already that we are running. We are going to all the schools in the state to sensitize them on the security protocols for schools that will make them safe.
Although Edo State has not recorded any attack or abduction in schools, the state has enacted policies to safeguard schools. This, the State Commissioner for Education, Juan Oviawe, said include social safeguarding, fencing of school premises, and engagement of local vigilantes to guard schools.
We are working with the Ministry of Public Safety and Security. They are in charge of the Edo State Command and Control Center, where there is an emergency number. There's a whole big hall filled with people and computers and cameras. They are saying all that is going on across the state. We are also sensitizing our teachers and school heads to make sure that when there is an emergency, any emergency in school, there is an evacuation plan so that no child is lost in the confusion.
Education stakeholders in Delta and Ondo states are concerned about the impact the situation will have on learning and school enrollment.
If you look at such scenarios, it makes it difficult for parents to really
want to decide to send their kids to the school, to school to study, and as such, it will affect society in a negative light.
They should try as much as they can, first of all, to make sure that the school is secured, maybe by erecting fence around the school, get security agents that will guide the children, just like teachers go to school. They should be there from 8 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock when they close, so that these children will have the confidence that at least they have people guiding them in school.
Stakeholders also advise that schools in rural areas be given more attention in the Safe Schools initiative, since they are more porous and prone to attacks. In Benin, Jude Abugu, NTA News.
All right, let's pick up with our conversation. Honorable Minister, you've just seen the report, and some of the respondents talked about, fear from the students or pupils who are in school. But I understand that the Safe School Initiative is a collaborative effort between Nigeria, the United Nations, and global education advocates. So what is the synergy like, and what kind of support are you getting from the international community? Because earlier you were talking about some of the challenges, and part of it was the deployment of technology to enhance security architecture.
Well, I think you should know that the Safe School Initiative started following the Safe School Declaration, which tried to make environment for study safe for all children. It has a few components. One of the major ones is to ensure that schools are safe, teachers and students are also safe, and when there is threat to any school, there could be a rapid evacuation plan, and when they are planned wherever they are, education should continue, and no school should be used for military activities, because if you use it, it may further prone that school to more attacks. So these are the declaration. And following that declaration, there is also global effort when Nigeria becomes signatory. And most especially because of the Chibok kidnappers at Den has also made a decision. And there are a lot of international commitments towards raising money. And in Nigeria, that's why we have even the safe school. We have a national coordinator for safe school financing. And that financing is both the appropriated financing and then that is the commitment given by Nigeria, and then the one that also given by the international community following the full participation of Nigeria in Safe School Declaration. You see, the issue that, yes, you mentioned there are funds. The funds are so many, and it has many components in terms of utilization. It's not only that to provide security architecture, it's also used in training both security personnel in modalities that will be employed to ensure that our schools are safe. It also goes again to also provide their training to key stakeholders in terms of the teachers within the school, and also to educate and also train the people within the community. Because if the community itself is secured, it means the school will also be secured. And part of the challenges that you have mentioned is also seen here. I must commend the issues, the effort of Edo State government in fencing those schools. Because what we have, and what I also came to understand after my visit yesterday to the National Safe Schools Response Center, is that we have so much, instead of taking security as everybody's business. This is one of the important area, but we also one of the poor, most neglected area. For example, you see a lot of schools, not fenced, even those that are fenced, the people there that are serving as a watchman in those schools, you see a school with over 300 or 400 children being manned by an elderly person over 70 years who can hardly even move. The agility to move and then even report is very, very distant. So I think we have to be more security conscious and take the business of security as everybody's duty, so that we can move from saying that when you see something, say something, but to say when you see something, act to do something.
Okay.
Yes.
And just before I let you go, Honorable Minister, advocacy, because this is where advocacy comes to play. You want community response. And when you were talking about the security guards for most schools who are really elderly, I've also witnessed that, and it's quite unfortunate. But going forward, what assurance are you giving Nigerians who want our children safe in school?
I didn't get your last question.
As in going forward, what assurance are you giving Nigerians to ensure that?
Going forward, I want to assure Nigerians that we are having a president who is fully security conscious, and that's why despite his pledge that education will receive a boost in the budgetary allocation, he has promised that, and it comes second to security. So he still prioritizes security because the country must, first of all, be secured before you can even talk of getting to the education. While we'll agree that getting educated will also have a positive impact in terms of bringing less security challenges. But for now that we have the challenge, we must be able to address the challenge so that we can pay more priority to the education thereafter. And we have a political will of Mr. President, and Mr. President is ever ready to ensure that things are done right and wrong. That's why even the mantra is the renewed hope agenda. So we should have that hope that very soon, with all the security directives, meetings that is going day and night, we will address those issues. And as soon as that is done, I assure you, what we have now, the infrastructural deficit, Mr. President's commitment to put more funds into education will see the light of the day, and I will be hopeful that all our schools will be safe and our children will be assured to have a qualitative education that has 3 or 4 major components. A qualitative certification that is backed by knowledge, character, and skill. Because initially we are doing less about skill acquisition, but now, even in the 8-point agenda of Mr. President, tapping for honorable skill is a major thematic area, and we are working to see how we can introduce technical vocational education and training so that we can safeguard the country by producing the quality graduate that we need that will fit of our time, and those who are technologically conscious and can also apply technology in doing things. And I mentioned the issue of technology is very important. Even in the issue of security now, for us to win the war, we must deploy technology, because the number of people we have, security agencies we have, may not be adequate enough to cover all the areas. But we must have a backup rapid response squad that once the technology detects a threat, we can now move quickly and ensure that a rapid response become positive in terms of its outcome by protecting the school, evacuating, and also ensuring that education must continue at wherever we find our children.
Indeed, Honorable Minister, we'll leave the conversation there. It's a collective effort to continue to ensure that our security agencies get the desired support. And most importantly, let's keep hope alive, because like they say, there is light at the end of the tunnel. We want to thank you very much, Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu. He's the Minister of State for Education. Thank you very much for your time on Weekend
Thank you for also this opportunity to share what we are doing with Nigerians.
You're welcome. All right, and this is where we take another break. Welcome back. Let's bring you sports update. That's next.